Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Racha Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and labor in the word and doctrine. Shalom, meaning peace. May that be unto the elect of the nation of Israel. So Romans 12:2 says, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High, Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. And this world is filled with nothing but corruption, wickedness, evil, idolatry, murder, adultery." Need I go on? Basically everything contrary to the Heavenly Father. And even them aspects of society that had at one point biblical values, Abrahamic values, seems to have deteriorated. And this generation of the young ones, just around some family members and young ones, and they the lived experience is ridiculous. The lived experience of Jake nowadays, especially. I'm not too old. I'm not too old. I'm not 15, 16 anymore. But it was wicked back then, don't get me wrong, but it seems to have increased, with the whole drill, murderous culture, the adultery culture. There's a lot more accessibility to wickedness. So it seems I might be just, I wasn't aware of the full scope at the time when I was that age, but it's sure as hell to me seems to have increased. And that would only make sense according to the scriptures, because iniquity shall abound. As I said, let me find that verbatim. Oh, that's going to be in there. Let's get. Going to be in there a lot. So sometimes you have to get more specific. There it is. Matthew 24 and verse 12. And these are the signs of the end times, man. Now let's read it in context. All right, Matthew 24:3, it says, "And as they sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?" So what will be the sign that the end times, the end of E's empire? All right, because the world is not going to implode. The fashion of this world passes away, as it's written. But the world's not going to implode or explode like some Death Star. The world is not going to blow up. And then the Lord makes, here's the literal new earth. A new heaven and a new earth talks about rulership. As for example, though thou be in heaven, Lucifer, right, exalteth thy throne above the stars, so on and so forth, like it talks 2 Thessalonians 2. What's that, Ezekiel 28, I believe? It was in reference to the Prince of Tyrus. Well, that's talking about this man. He exalts his stars above the heaven. He exalts his kingdom himself above the stars of heaven. So he puts himself on high, on a rulership position. For example, kingdoms are known as mountains, so they're up high. Right? But thou shalt be turned to hell. Right? So they'll come down in a low vibration. And that's where Jake is right now. Jake is in hell. Hell, literally hell, means the grave, the pit, death. But Jake is in a hell-like condition. We're at the bottom. We're sure as hell at the bottom, man. And E is on top. Although he's circling the drain and it's crumbling, he is on top. He is in the rulership position, but that's going to change. So when you read about the end of the world, it's talking about the end of this man's society. For example, 2 Ezra chapter 6 verse 9 reads, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." It speaks better as the end of a thing than the beginning. Right? And that's sure as hell. Sure as hell is cold. They'll say hell is hot. Well, hell is the pit, is the grave. So really it's cold. So as sure as hell is cold, the end of this man's empire is going to be a lot better for them that hope to be of the elect than the beginning of his. Right? We look forward to the beginning of ours, don't get it wrong. But we look forward to the end of the world. Why? Because then Yahushai, Hamashiach, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, will be making his return. So Matthew 24 verse 4 now it says, "And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Mashiach, and shall deceive many." So it means I am anointed. "Shall deceive many. And you shall have wars and rumors of wars." Right? Really, we're in the third war. Just because it's not close to home. People may have forgot about it or be sleeping on it. Or not take it with that much severity. If you were seeing troops and tanks and this, everyone would be thinking about that all the time. But if you see Kardashians and folly and this challenge and this challenge, you know, and this new hip hop song, you know, you're not gonna take it as serious as tanks rolling through your hood. Okay, so wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So in the time of wars, rumors of wars, it don't mean the end is there, you know, but it's a sign. It says, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And you can look up, you know, you can search up, Google. We have so much technology, right? The disciples at the time of Yahushua they couldn't Google up, right, well, what's been happening? Google up, well, what's happening here? What's this? What's this? What's that? They couldn't do that. You know, but in the times when we have all this information, and it's a double-edged thing. You know, you've got all this edifying content. You've got all these research tools, study guides. I don't mean study guides like that, but, you know, study tools. Let me rephrase that. Study tools. We've got the blue letter. We can go into the Hebrew. We can go into the Greek. The whole scriptures is numbered. You know, you won't be able to go, all right, so take me to, for example, you know, he didn't go, all right, let me get Isaiah 61. When you read in Luke the 4, when he was reading it said he went into the scroll, right? And a lot of them, unless they'd memorized it, you know, gone into it like that, they wouldn't have access to that unless they went into the temple, you know, and heard it. So we have so much access, you know, we don't know what to do with it. You know, like to speak on the problem of too much choice. You know, there's too many choices. So, on the other hand, you have all this entertainment, all this distraction to take you off track. When you're distracted, you're off the track. Well, this is known as a race. So, Apostle Paul spoke about finishing the course. Know ye not that they which runneth in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that you may obtain. So there's many things to take you off track as well. Right, so nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Now, like it says in 2 Peter chapter 2, 2 Peter chapter 3. Sorry, the 2 was throwing me off. The 2 at the beginning was throwing my brain off, excuse me. It talks about knowing these things, what manner of persons ought we to be in all holy conversation and godliness. So in our conduct, are we behaving, are we acting, are we thinking upon the fact that there's going to be famines, there's going to be pestilences, earthquakes, so on and so forth. And again, you can search all this shit up, you know, but there's such an abundance of folly, such an abundance of mirth and entertainment distraction that this isn't on the forefront of most people's minds. But that's all right, because it's not for most people. Most people are not going to get this. Most people are going to be in the house of feasting rather than the house of mourning. Most people are going to be in mirth rather than sorrow. And again, that's fine. It says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. You know, in the famine of the word, meaning there'll be, you know, certain things passed to the point where people won't be hearing this word. So get it while it's hot. You know, get it while it's still coming out. It says, verse 11, and many false prophets shall arise and shall deceive many. And you've got that in and out of Israel. And there we are, the key point that I was trying to get early. And because iniquity shall be abound, the love of many shall wax cold. You know, so Jake, before you had integration, you know, and before them of this system pretended to give a fuck about Jacob, we knew who the adversary was. We knew not to trust them that were hitting us with, right, you can't use this shit, sit at the back of the bus, you can't have this water fountain. And they're just, you know, a few examples off the top of my head. Of course, there was real life violence, hose pipes, dogs, you know, and a lot of maybe our parents, grandparents, depending on how old you are, live through this shit. And depending on where you are, you know. So in England, you know, I've heard older men speak on the condition of how it was to be, you know, here in the UK. You know, you had the bald heads, the I forget what they call them. You know, they used to fight all the time with Jake, man. All the time. That was a common casual thing. We've pretend like this was so long ago. It really wasn't. It really wasn't, especially if you deal in the Lord's time. What does it say? 1,000 years are as but one day. So if you're talking something that happened 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, that is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So the Lord's not forgot. The Lord's got heavy, heavy wrath for these people. And you don't want to be caught up in it. You shouldn't want to be. So we should do everything we can to make our calling and election sure. It says, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And it's gonna be a rarity for a man to have that sanity, for a man to have that solace, if I'm using that word correctly, that peace based on the scriptures. Wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of thy times and the strength of thy salvation. So getting into this word, really internalize it and being grounded and rooted and having this as your foundation. No other foundation can any man lay than that which is laid, and that is Hamashiach Yahushai. To be rooted in that, that's the best thing you can do. That is the best treasure. Beyond gold, beyond silver, beyond rubies, beyond diamonds, beyond whatever you can value on this earth. This is the wisdom from heaven, right? Do you believe it? If not, cool, it's not for you. But if you believe that, act like it. I speak to myself first. We can all do better. But he that shall endure till the end, the same shall be saved. Right, verse 14, it says, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So the fashion of this world passeth away, man. The fashion of this world, again, nothing but adultery, idolatry, wickedness, murder, corruption, so on and so forth. Nothing good. Absolutely nothing. So I'll leave it there, a quick hit. Lord willing, it's edifying, exhorting. On to the next video, Lord willing. Giving all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Racha Kodash. Shalom.